Welcome to Your Vote 2017. Thanks for joining us. I'm Neville Choi.
And I'm Titi Gabi.
Well, this evening's program, we have around Finance Minister and PNC candidate and member-elect for Tari Pori, James Marape, and we're hoping that he will join us later on in the program. But first of all, we'll take a look at the day's events and the declared seats for today. On screen now, you'll see Ian Ling Stuckey is the member-elect for KVang Open after unseating Ben Micah, who is the PPP, People's Progress Party leader and sitting MP. For Nuku Open, National Alliance candidate Joe Sungi has come home over there with 11,112 votes, and he is another National Alliance candidate. Two other declared members are PNC's Solan Mirisim for Telefomin in West Sepik, who has retained his seat, and John Pundari also retaining his seat in Kompiam Ambum in Enga Province. And the fifth person to be declared today is Emil Tamor from the Kokopo Open in a close fight to the end. He defeated sitting member and PNC candidate Eraman Tobining. And he's won that seat from Tobining Jr. with total votes at the end of 8,325. And looking now at the party standings after the 5 declarations from today, People's National Congress Party, the total number of declared seats so far is now up to 10 declared candidates. Pangu Party is coming in second with 5 declared candidates, and that's in Makam, Bulolo, Menyamia, TYCSC, and Finchafen. For the National Alliance, running in third with 3 seats, with the additional of Joe Sungi this afternoon, and it is now 4. In the Namatanai Open, we had Walter Schnobelt, who was on the program last night. He's the member-elect for Namatanai Open. South Bougainville, National Alliance has Timothy Masiu, and of course Mr. Ling Stuckey and Mr. Sungi declared today in both KVang and Nuku. For People's Progress Party, Emil Tamor, as mentioned earlier, for Kokopo Open, and then we have the parties with 1 declared seats each. Melanesian Liberal Party of Dr. Alan Marat for Rabaul Open, Christian Democratic Party, Patrick Bassa for Kabum Open, United Resource Party's Jelta Wong for Gazelle Open, and for Kendrick and Gloucester, Coalition for Reform Party's leader Joseph Lelang. We have 2 independents, that's Petrus Thomas for Korobole Kopiago and Manasseh Makiba for Komo Magarima. And those are the party standings as of today. And we will be back after this break. We do have Tari Pori member-elect James Marape, and he will be joining us after the break, and then we can continue our discussions. Stay tuned.
And you're back with Your Vote 2017. In this segment, we're joined by the member-elect for Tari Pori Open, James Marape, from the People's National Congress. Mr. Marape, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Titi, and thank you, Neville, for having me in your program.
Mr. Marape, we'll start off our discussions with you about your win, your landslide victory up in Tari Pori. Were you expecting such a big turnout of voters?
I was expecting much bigger than this one, simply because in 10 years I've been wasting my time. I've been putting to good use the DSIP, that government program. Government has been rolling out since 2012 in the 2nd term, but for me the programs have started in 2007, so I was expecting that number.
And you were confident of that. Could you tell us what it is that you've brought to Tari Pori, because it's a massive turnout for you at the polling booths?
When I took office in 2007, the place was a ghost town. There was no electricity, there was no bank, there was no road. The place had only 2 flights a week from Port Moresby. Today there's more than 14 flights a week from Port Moresby. You've got electricity there, you have a small bank running, you have roads and sealing that is taking place. I built in 3 new high schools and put in a technical college for my school dropouts. So when you have development speaking in the face of your people, they do your campaigning for you. So for me, it was much easier this time around.
Okay, for the next 5 years, what are you offering now?
I'm focusing on education for my people. As I spoke at NBC the other night, and they asked me what you really want to do, and I said, my challenge is in 10 or 15 years' time, I don't want to see people from my electorate selling boys in Port Moresby. I want them to be educated. So I'm focusing on education big time for my electorate.
All right, we'll take you back to a program last night where we had the National Alliance Party President, Walter Schnobbelt, in on the program, and he was saying that NA is confident of bringing in some numbers. Now, currently, PNC is leading with the most declared members to date out of this election so far. And we're going to have a look now at what NA's Mr. Schnobbelt had to say about that.
We're going to come on with the numbers. We believe we have the numbers. That seemed to be the question on everybody's lips nationwide. Is there going to be a partnership between NA and PNC? And you know, let me just ease everybody's mind here. Okay, short question: no. All right. What we're going to do is we're going to exhaust all efforts to try and have an alternative government to go in. Okay, led by Patrick Price as our alternate Prime Minister. Okay, and we're trying to now master the numbers to make that happen. Okay, so we're talking to everybody. We're talking to 20 independent candidates. We're talking to Pangu right now. Yesterday I just got off the phone with Sam. We're talking to URP. We're talking to other parties who just have one candidate that have won. So we're gonna form this grand coalition party to be the alternative government right now.
So we have Mr. Schnobbelt there, Mr. Marape, saying that there are plans by NA and of course Pangu and other parties that were in the previous opposition to form a grand coalition. From PNC's perspective, what do you see?
Firstly, may I comment those views? Every political parties are entitled to their own views in life, especially in politics. That's the reason why they exist as a political party. They're there to form government or form coalition with like-minded leaders elected into office. And so there's no wrong in them thinking this way. We wish them good luck. But for us as People's National Congress Party, we will go by the rules. If our party does get invitation to form government by virtue of the fact that we return more in these elections, then we will also look out for like-minded groupings, whether they're political parties or independents. And basically the key structure of our government remains the same. Our 5 key pillar objectives as a party and as government remains, we focus on education. We will do better in what we've started. We've brought 1 more million children into classroom in the last 5 years. We'll have to address the quality intervention aspect of education, bring accessibility more to all of them, ensuring that they're sitting in classroom very well, paying the teacher very well. We will expand on our free basic health care program as well as spreading healthcare right across our country. We will expand on our infrastructure programs that we've started. We will look at ensuring that Papua New Guinea is safe and secure for business and for general population, as well as making intervention in SME and our economic sector. And our focus now will be more into agriculture as well as tourism. So we know what we've started in the first 5 years we've been in office. We will not go out there screaming and shouting for everyone to come and join us. They've seen us perform in 5 years. The difference between us and many of them, when they talk about economy, we've been able to put development on the scoreboard when we were running our economy in deficit. And National Alliance, and I was part of the regime, we had opportunity to put development on the scoreboard when our budget was in surplus. Not one infrastructure was done. Not one delivery of service was done when we had surplus, and 8 billion kina in all surpluses in 2008, 2009, 2010. There were supplementary budgets after supplementary budgets. So our track record versus their track record is obvious. In 5 years, despite being in deficit, we transformed certain sector of our country, especially Port Moresby Lay, and we have planned to move on into other spaces of development. Our party will move into camp this Sunday. Based on numbers that are coming up, we are confident that numbers speak for themselves, and we will move into camp this coming Sunday in Alatau. We will review our first Alatau Accord. We will see what we've delivered, and we will build on our platform for the next 5 years in the second Alata Accord that our party, as well as like-minded political parties and independents who will join us.
So the PNC camp will be in Alatau, back to where it all began, the first coalition began. But how confident and what are the numbers like? What are you expecting?
Like I said, the numbers will speak for themselves. Currently 10 declared so far. We're expecting a few more declarations tomorrow. We're currently tracking in about 30 seats right across. We are leading in the count so far. So we will allow the numbers to speak for themselves. And by divine intervention, if we do not have the numbers, then we will respect where the invitation goes to, and hopefully they can do a better job than us. But if we do receive the invitation from government again, we have friends right across. And I'm sure when the number stacks up on our side, many of them will run to us.
Are you speaking with other parties at the, currently?
We are not forceful on them. As I said, we have a 5-year track record. We will not demand allegiance from them. It is within their responsibility to make call to us. But like I said, when we do receive invitations from government, as it has been in the past, there'll be many politicians who will run to us because they want to win government anyway.
Mr. Marape, sorry, we'll continue discussions, but first we did put it out on our Facebook page for questions that you would be on the program tonight. So we're going to take a look at some of the Facebook questions that we received back from people who have been interested. So Cyrus Hunter he says, could you ask Mr. Marape about the confidence he has in Peter O'Neill as his party leader, and what would you say if you were asked to be the Prime Minister? That's an interesting one.
Well, right now we have political party structure that we all respond to and report to. Currently, there's no vacancy in the party leadership of the People's National Congress Party. There's a leader sitting in place. The difference between our camp and our team, as it was in the vote of no confidence occasions in 2016, was we had only one leader. Their camp, they got many leaders. Mekere is calling for independence out there. The National Alliance want to be leaders. Every other political party wants to be leaders. Our party believes in political stability. Political stability ensures policy stability. Policy stability translates to a government that is already in place. It translates to policy that is being delivered right across the country. So we do not believe in changing leaders, every now and then. We believe in consistency. And I personally believe a maximum time a leader can deliver to the nation is for him to be in office in 10 years or more. We've seen that in economies and countries around us. You see Singapore, you see Malaysia. You see many economies, similar economies around us who started as government in late 60s or early 70s. They are able to far advance beyond us simply because life of their government goes beyond 5 years, 6 years, 10 years. We've been changing governments as if we've changed our underpants up till 2002. Up till 2002, we had average life of government only 18 months. You can't do much in 18 months. Believe me, I've been minister for 9 years now. If I can't do much in 9 years, you can't do much in 18 months. So in PNC, we do not believe in changing leaders. We believe in stability, and if the party so decides that Peter O'Neill has a 5 more term, we will go behind him. We will work to ensure that what we start for the country translates to actual development on the ground for our people.
All right. We have another Facebook question from Sam Sati Tiki. Please, can you confirm with Mr. Marape about 2 independent candidates elect from Komo Magarima and Koroba Kopiago is seen teaming up with the PNC after their declaration. Does that mean they are now part of the PNC team to form the next government? And I think you made some announcements this morning.
These leaders are elected leaders, and we respect the election to office as independent members of parliament, and we will not coerce or influence them into a PNC right away. They are given the freedom to decide on which political party they will align themselves with. Today, this morning, they've made their own conscious choice to align themselves with People's National Congress Party as independent, and we are moving together into camp also on Sunday. So they're not fully fledged members of PNC. They will maintain their status as independent, but they will come with their own petitions on behalf of their respective electorates, especially what they want to do for the people. And if we're in government, we will look into addressing them, and they will work with us as independents. So they've made the appeal to other independents out there for them to form an independent bloc. They will work with us, and they are the first 2 big movers in as far as independents are concerned. Okay.
Well, the next question that we have from Facebook, how will they get us out of this cash flow problem since we have a deficit cash issue flowing in our country?
Well, that's a very interesting question, and let me assure the nation that this question has been around amongst us for the last 4 years or 5 years. We are a country that is dependent on our commodity exports. When you are dependent on commodities that we export out there, it's heavily dependent on the mineral prices and commodity prices that is set on a global market. We are price takers. And for instance, in the last few years, when Octave shut down and when the oil price dropped below $30 a barrel, that removed from our national revenue envelope quite a substantial chunk. Close to 70% of our revenue was reduced by these sort of facts. And look, the fact remains that we've been able, for me as finance minister, I've been able to manage the expenditures. That is really my key role, and we've been able to prioritize our expenditure on key priority programs for our government, including ensuring that our TFA program, tuition fee-free program runs. Public servants are earning their salary on time, on schedule. Our health bills are being paid. Our key infrastructure programs we committed to are being delivered. And as I speak up till today, we have not missed one single payment of our bills as a government. And that is a remarkable testament to the way we've been managing the economy. Deficit budget is part of many governments right across the world. When you look at similar economy, for instance, and I appeal to all intelligent publicans out there, your Google sets debt to GDP of many nations around us. Australia today sits above in the mid-40s in as far as debt to GDP is concerned. Singapore sits in the high 80s in as far as debt to GDP is concerned. Japan, for instance, sits almost 200% debt to GDP. This debt has been part of their balance sheet for a long, long time. For us, debt has always been part of our balance sheet since 1975. One fact remains in our country is that the actual amount of revenue we have one fiscal year is not enough to meet the expected cash calls for every program government wants to run, whether it's recurrent expenditures or cash call on our development programs. We have limitations of funds since 1975. That is a fact we have to live with. But for the O'Neill-Dion government in the last 5 years and the O'Neill and PNC-led government going forward, we will not fold our hands and sit back and say, look, we don't have money, so let's not embark on development programs. We will structure responsible deficit budget programs and especially invest in key investment areas that will become impetus for our economy to build on into the future. For instance, in the last 5 years, we've never failed to invest in education. That has enabled 1 million new children in our school system. Do you and me disqualify these million kids from sitting in classroom because government or parents don't have the money? They're entitled to education, basic education for a start. And so we as government looked into the revenue space we have, we looked into our expenditure priorities, and we felt that we must embark on deficit budget in a responsible manner. We've kept, 5 years now, we've kept below the Fiscal Responsibility Act, 35% debt ceiling we've had. You look in economies around us, they're all in the high 70s and high 80s. We've maintained below 35%. That is a testament to our track record. You know, I acknowledge that we've been in deficit budget, but the fact remains, in deficit, we've delivered. You ask those governments who ran in surplus, what have they delivered? They've delivered nothing.
On that point, Mr. Marape, we're going to take a break now, but we'll be back shortly with some more of this discussion. You're watching YourVote 2017. For all the election results, you can visit our Facebook page. It's under the same name, YourVote 2017. We are with Member-elect for Tari Pori Open, James Marape. More when we come back.
Welcome back to YourVote 2017. Now, Mr. Marape, there have been some issues with the TFF program that the PNC champions. What is the party's plans going forward to brush up some of these loose ends?
Thank you, Titi. I am the first to admit, especially being a former Minister of Education and someone who had initial input in the policy that led to what is TFF today, we appreciate the downsides to it. The advantage we as a government or as a party bring to the table if we continue in government is that we will take a review in the downsides of the program and address them instead of reinventing the wheel if someone new comes on the table as government. So we know that we've brought in 1 million new children into our school system, but we must put in new classrooms for that. We must ensure that the teaching materials and the resource to address the extra kids we brought into our classroom. We must have the teachers and qualified teachers to teach in them. So as part of our review in our Lata Code performance for the last 5 years, we'll take stock of those deficiencies and put forward measures to address them as we go forward into the future, because education still will remain our pillar policy. As I said, 1 million kids into school already. We want to ensure one time in our nation's future, there must be 100% children in our school system from elementary into year 12. And as a party, we're also embarking now on a program. It's an exciting program, possibly will come on board in 2018. We want to give school fee assistance to students who will now move into colleges and universities after grade 12. So we're taking stock of what we've done in the education sector, and we are now expanding on it, refining on it, ensuring that the weaknesses are addressed going forward. So the Alatau camp will not be spending time wasting on leisure. We'll be going straight into business, reviewing what we've done, sector by sector, and putting forward what we will do for the next 5 years.
Will that include the quality of education and infrastructure for our universities, especially?
Sure, definitely. You have 24,000 kids sitting at grade 11 and 12. We only have 6,000 spaces nationwide. So we are mindful of the statistics that state are facing as far as rate of attrition is concerned, the lack of capacity, the higher you go. And so those are issues that we will sit on the table to address when we come together as elected leaders in Alatau.
Another issue with education is vocational training and what's the other one? I can't remember. But vocational training. What is your plans for vocational training? Vocational is seen as taking up those that can't make it into university, and the dropout rate there. Do you plan to expand on vocational training for high school dropouts?
Vocational, and when I was education,
yes,
Teddy, when I was education minister, my big focus was on the vocational and technical school aspect. They are the blue-collar workmen and women of our country. They are the drivers of our economy, and it is my firm view that there must be stronger support to the vocational technical sector. When we saw in 2008 and 9 when PNC LNG project came on board, we never had qualified men and women to work in the sector. So yes, we will look at in a big way. Currently, in the last parliament or last 5 years, there were debate whether we will push the technical vocational sector to the higher education ministry or keep it within the education ministry. These are debates that are taking place, so that at what form and shape and size and importance the technical vocational sector in our education comes out into the future is something that we're looking at very closely. And as I said, and for me, I have a very keen interest in the education sector, and I will be in the discussion trying to shape the better outlook of our education structure going into the future. So currently we got 10 technical schools, I beg your pardon. If we can expand capacity in the 10 schools to take in about 1,000 students each, you have 10,000 kids in those schools. We got about 10 teachers' colleges nationwide. If we can expand capacity to about 1,000 students in those 10 schools, that's another 10,000 kids. We have about 26,000 grade 12s coming out every year. We got to find some space for them, and this is something that we, as a government, we look into, and TVET sector holds a big chunk of space to ensure that these children are moving into that sector.
Mr. Marape, we're fast running out of time, but one other issue like the tuition fee-free funding is the free health policy that the PNC led government had came up with in the first place. Now the level of the stretch of this free health policy to the rural areas, and the other issue, of course, which we were experiencing recently, is the shortage of medicines and supplies. That was around the contract for the suppliers to provide the drugs to us. But it's a sensitive issue. How will the PNC be approaching this in the next administration, if they?
You know, when we embarked upon these policies in 2012, we had no system in place to deliver them. And so there's always this teething issue. As we speak today, I'm sure we have 5 years of experience to try to tidy on these issues. And as a party, we are committed to free basic health care again. this is essential service to our people. You and me can afford 50 kina or 100 kina going into a hospital to pay that program. A mother who's unemployed in rural PNG doesn't have the luxury of that 50 kina. That is the pain that a government must alleviate from the mother. So ensuring that the system and the intention of government comes to work is a challenge that we will be working to tidy. As I said, we will take the week or so in Alatau to look into ensuring that not only health but the education services, the two key pillar policies of PNC, are delivered much better within the context of providing free basic health care or free education services to our people.
Mr. Marape, we know it was a mad rush to get from the airport to EMTV studios, but we thank you for your time and we thank you for your candid remarks about the country's economy and the issues that we've addressed tonight. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you, and can I say something before I say good night to yourselves and to the listeners? The country is going through an important phase as a nation. We are a young nation making transition now from the generation that took us from independence up till today to the second generation of leaders, whether we in politics or leaders in the business sector or leaders in public service or leaders in what type of leadership sphere that young Papuans are now in place or positioning. We're now moving into the future, and I am very optimistic. I'm not pessimistic in life. Whilst in the last 5 years we operate deficit budget, deficit budgets are part of many governments across the world. When the economy is struggling, the government embarks upon money plans and fiscal plans to resuscitate the economy and ensure that there's life in the economy going forward. For PNC-led government, we do not see it in a 1 year or 2 year cycle. We see it in a 5-year program, we see it in a 10-year program, and we have lenses for the country into the next 10, 15, 20 years. Speaking from today, I want to look back as a young politician in this country. 10 years from now, or 15 years from now, I want to look back in PNG where seal roads is running all over every corner of Papua New Guinea. I want to see electricity running through every part of this country. I want to see fiber optic running through every part of this country. I want to see every children in PNG sitting in classrooms educated to their capacities. I want to see healthcare that is modernized and is delivering to our people. These are dreams that we have. We have huge potentials in tourism, in agriculture. And all these things will come about if we have stability in government and government policies. When you look into every political parties that are offering to lead government, they do not have a magic pill or magic formula to create miracles for this country. Every policies are the same in education, health, infrastructure, economy, law and order. That's why in PNC we don't have many leaders, we have only one leader. And the rest of us, we're all equally capable of becoming prime ministers. But we're not fighting to be prime ministers in our camp. We know that those who fight to be prime minister are fighting for their own ego, for their own ambitions, and causes nothing except bring our country to destruction. In PNC, we want to portray an image of stability, consistency in the policies that we have. And hopefully, if the country gives us mandate, we'll build on from where we started in 2012. By the time we finish our time in office, whatever time it is, 2022, or 2027, or 2032, we want to look back into PNG and see a better place than what we've inherited from our fathers who've been playing too much politics up till 2002.
Thank you very much, Mr. Marape, and thank you again for being on the program with us.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me, and good night to you, Titi, and good night to you, Neville, and good night to EMTV, and good night to Papua New Guinea. Let me tell everyone, don't lose hope. This country has all the potentials, and we will get there, God willing.
Thank you, sir. Well, unfortunately, we've come to the end of the show tonight, and thank you to Mr. Marape for coming on the show with us. And our next program will be next Monday evening at the same time. And until then, this has been YourVote 2017. I'm Neville Choi.
And I'm Titi Gabi. Thank you for joining.
Good night.